So at this point, you already know how to create an eloquent model just like this. And you also know how to write basic queries using the API of the query builder. However, what other logic could be put in a class like this? Let me give you an example. Let's say we are working with a task feature. So I'll go ahead and open my Ubuntu window here. And what I want to do here is create a task model. So I'll go ahead and say vendor bin sale PHP artisan make. You know what? Let me do a quick detour here. So I'll delete this command here. I'll save myself from typing this long command here over and over again and just create an alias for that long command. So I'll open bash rc here, and at the bottom I'll add an alias for those long command. I'll yes sale maybe for the path vendor bin sale, and then another alias for the PHP artisan. Maybe I'll call it art for short. Sale PHP artisan. I'll just save this file here. I'll use source. So whatever changes within this bash rc here would take effect right away. Okay, let's try sale. All right, it's working. So now I'll say art, which is the alias of the PHP artisan, make model the task, and also I want to create migration and controller. Enter. All right, so now I'll open the task migration. Open task migration. Now let's add field here. So if you have task, of course, you have title of the task, and then also maybe I'll just put here description of the task. I'll make this nullable, and as well as timestamp for task has due date. So I'll say due date and just set this as nullable. And lastly, if you have task, of course, task has status. So I'll say boolean for the completed, and just set a default here false. All right, so save, and back here I'll say art migrate, so we can find, so it will finally create a table within our database. All right, so let's check. Here's our task table. So title, description, due date, completed. All right, so now I want to access that task data here using Tinker. So I'll go ahead and back here, clear, and art Tinker. So what this Tinker does is it allows you to run PHP codes or whatever classes you've created within your Laravel framework. So you can use this Tinker to test all your codes within your Laravel. So basically, as long as it's PHP script or PHP code, you can run it here. So you can even run calculation here. So yep. So now I'll say use app models, because our task model is inside app models directory or namespace task, and then let's try task all. All right, it's working, but it's empty. What I want to do is create a sample record there, task, then I'll say Um, Title is required, so I'll just assign a title there. Title is a sample task here, and then I'll just say save. Oh, sorry, task save. All right, so let's check if the record persisted in our database. Let's say task. All right, so a title here is our title here is a sample task here, and we have not completed. So usually, if you want to complete that, you'll write into your controller and say um, task completed is equal to true, and then task save. So let's check. All right, so it's completed now. So I'll put it back here. Um, False save. Uh, all right. So now clear here and say task all. Okay. So now, how can we complete this in the most readable way? And not just readable, but in a way that makes sense for the business, that uses the jargon in a lingo of the business. When you can, make the code reflect the way that you would normally speak about the business. So in this case, we might say a user can complete a task. So let me go back here and open our task model here. So what I want to do here is say public function complete and say completed is equal to true, and this save. So now let me try that here again. Close and art think. Okay, so say it's false. And then I'll get the first one here. All right. So now all I have to do here is call completed, complete, and enter. So now if you check here, it's completed. So why did I create this complete method here? What you have here, these two lines here, this is procedural. It's step oriented. Here are the steps in order to mark a task as complete. It's very simple at the moment, but you can imagine that in real life, a number of things need to take place in order to mark a task as complete. So, are you going to repeat that code all over the code base every single time you want to complete a task? Of course not. What we want is to expose a clean API that anyone can use. And they don't have to think about all the various steps that take place when they complete a task. Instead, you have your task model, call complete method, and you're done. I know it's a little bit confusing the first time, and I also know you'll get used to this. So, in the next episode, let's hop into the view section.